Yeah.
There are 154 countries right now. 153 of them can be celebrating this year because they've had a substantial increase in visitors from foreign countries in tourism. The one country out of the 154 that's had a decrease, the only country that's had a decrease, the United States of America. We've had 8 consecutive months of a decline in foreign visitors and tourists, and the numbers are staggering. Over 7% over last year, down. That's a revenue shortfall of over $41 billion. By the way, that's $41 billion. That's revenue that can't be recouped. That's not just airlines and hotels. That's everything from restaurants and retail and dry cleaners and theme parks and you name it that are hurting because of this. And will it get better right now for the United States? Right now, I'd have to say in the short term, probably not. It's going to get worse.
Hello, welcome to God, Grace, and Ghana. I come to you today. I seen a video talking about how MAGA was upset with the foreign travel and the loss of income that the United States is seeing because of the state of affairs in America right now after the election of Donald Trump. I think the video was very interesting, very enlightening, and for people that got their head in the sand like an ostrich, the people that still MAGA, pro-MAGA, and pro this and pro that, pro-Trump, I think if you look at the video and honestly assess everything that's going on, that you will come to the conclusion that things are very bad in America right now, and travel has just froze. It ceased because of the atmosphere. People that are not Americans do not feel welcome because Americans themselves don't feel welcome. Anyway, I'm going to show you a couple of clips, and I think it'll be very eye-opening and enlightening. So let's get into the video, and I'll come back later with the comments after these clips.
They are not lying about Vegas being dead, y'all. I'm a waitress on the Strip, and last year around this time, I made like $300 to $500 a day in tips. And today, I just walked home with $124.
So, came to Las Vegas for the first time, me and my friends, because we all turned 60. This is a freaking ghost town. I created content about how the travel industry is being hit, especially Las Vegas. This place is a ghost town. There are restaurants inside of all these gorgeous hotels. The doors are shut. I hopped into a Lyft because I don't use Uber. Don't use Uber, you guys. And the Lyft driver, I asked how he was doing, and he said, okay, but, you know, business is really tough right now because there's not that many tourists coming in needing an Uber or a Lyft. And I said, is this what you do for a living normally? And he said, no, I'm a real estate agent, but everybody in real estate right now is suffering, and all of us agree nothing's going to get better until we have a change in administration. He came right out and said it. So he's like, I had to get this side gig. When I was departing from my airport, it's a Delta hub, meaning there are something like over 200 gates. And there was a time just a couple years ago when all those gates had Delta airplanes in them. There were, I counted, at least 40 gates that were literally shuttered, not even being used, snowed in, idle storage at those gates.
If you're planning your next holiday, there are a lot of places to choose from, but one that is falling out of fashion is the US. Since Donald Trump took office, America has reported a dramatic drop in the number of international tourists, and it's impacting the country's bottom line. In the usually warm month of June, tourist arrivals remained frosty, falling 6%. It continued a trend that has seen a decline in visitor numbers year on year since the start of 2025. The biggest drop-off has been visits from Canada, with the northern neighbours deterred by Trump's tariffs and continued threats to make their country the 51st state. Europe is also looking elsewhere, with the number of French, Swiss and Dutch tourists dropping, while Scandinavian nations are punishing the US for Trump's talk about getting Greenland.
I'm an American that's been living in Amsterdam for about 8 years now. I'm completely integrated. My partner is Dutch, which is why I moved out here. I speak the language. I've got primarily Dutch friends. And here are some of the reasons why I have found that the Dutch, particularly, don't like American. So the Dutch mentality is all about nuchterheid is the word that they use. And it's about being down to earth. It's about being level-headed. It's about being just like everybody else. Nobody is better than anybody else. And if you look at the American mentality, it's completely the opposite. It's about trying to be better than everybody else, trying to be the star, trying your hardest to be something. They find that type of mentality completely rude, dishonest, and how they like to call it, fake. The second biggest reason is because Americans are brought up with the idea that America is better than everybody else, this savior complex that they saved everybody. They are the example, and that couldn't be further from the truth. If you look at things like gun control, healthcare, safety, equality, I mean, the US is the worst. Not admitting to that is something that they completely hate. And lastly, I don't know why, but there is this view that Americans are dumb. We are just dumb to them. I think that's something we're never going to be able to change. They're always just going to view the American mentality, the American mindset as just dumb. After 8 years living here, I can safely say that I totally agree with the Dutch mentality, and I share their view on us Americans, sadly. As much as I love my American friends and my American family, I don't love my country, and I only saw freedom and opportunity until I left it.
I don't want to get down there and not be able to get back.
To be honest, it's put me off going to America. You know, I don't like his policies, I don't like the way he thinks. Yeah. All the stuff going on with ICE, I don't like any of that. Yeah. Not a fan of any of it, to be honest. I did plan a trip. I was thinking of going to New York with my brother, you know, before the latest election, and honestly, it's put me off. Yeah. You know, I'm brown.
So let's be real. All the complaints that you hear have nothing to do with whether you are brown, Hispanic, black, any of those things. As a matter of fact, if you look at the demographic of the people who are complaining and the people that are saying that they will not travel to America, you can see for yourself that even though I am a person of color, this has nothing to do with that. When you act like an enemy to your friends, they're going to see you as an enemy. When you act like an enemy to the rest of the world, they're going to treat you as such. We have an administration and a president that not only shows disdain for the travelers and the foreigners that come to our country to visit, he shows disdain for Americans themselves. He's the only president that I know that hates America. He hates Americans. What we have here is a crisis of great consequence and proportions that some people, even to this day, are blind to. They don't want to admit that they were wrong. They don't want to admit that they messed up. They don't want to admit that this administration is failing and America is on not only a decline, America is about to be financially destroyed before God ultimately judges it. That's what it is. Now, you don't have to be religious to see the right. We have a deficit so large, it's never going to be repaid. We have a standard of printing money that's not based on gold anymore, that that one day someone has to repay. Well, it will never be repaid. As a matter of fact, it's already broke. There's no coming back from where we are. And if you ask any true economist, and I have videos on that, and I will continue to post them, they will tell you that it's just not a matter of when, not if.
For no reason at all, people are being detained and brutalized. U.S. citizens, our own citizens. So it should come as no surprise that people all over the world wouldn't dream of setting foot in our country.